With this portion of the citadel secured, the South Vietnamese troops prepared to assault their next objective. The enemy, forced from their positions outside the city by elements of the 3rd Regiment, blew up a portion of the Paul Doumer Bridge to cut off logistical support for the advancing South Vietnamese army. Frightened refugees ran down Truong Hung Dao Street, carrying to safety what belongings they could. Behind them, buildings were ravaged by fires which the communists had set to delay the advancing troops. Only a few days before, Truong Hung Dao Street had been a thriving business center in the city. Now it lay in smoldering rubble. Human anguish and suffering were the only gifts from the communists to the people of Hue on the day of the Tet Lunar New Year. The army worked to evacuate civilians from the battle area. A floating bridge was built to span the gap in the Paul Doumer Bridge. This enabled the refugees to reach temporary resettlement centers on the south bank of the Perfume River. Frightened and weeping, the aged and weak did their best to carry their heavy belongings in their flight from the city. Hundreds of innocent victims of the communist attack had to be buried in hurriedly dug graves near the main emergency refugee center. The children, many of them orphans, wept in strange surroundings beside the fresh graves. With civilian evacuation completed, clearing operations began immediately. Artillery fire was brought on Truong Hung Dao Street to halt possible enemy infiltration there. Meanwhile, more Marines were sent to the rescue of friendly forces inside the citadel. A convoy of landing craft brought troops across the Perfume River. The convoy came under heavy enemy fire from both banks as it approached the landing zone. The soldiers bravely returned the fire. The convoy reached Bao Vinh with few casualties. Helicopters were ready at Bao Vinh to rush the fresh troops to critical combat areas. "15 miles south of the city, some 16,000 refugees had fled to the Phu Bai district. There, many emergency refugee centers were established by the local authorities to provide aid for the stricken civilians. Tons of food, clothing, and medicine were brought to the camps and immediately distributed to the refugees. And young alike deeply appreciated the assistance provided during their time of need. Many military medical teams were also sent to the refugee camps to care for the people. The ancient city of Hue had been the scene of many conflicts during past centuries, but never before had it suffered such widespread destruction. The thousands of dead, the orphans, the homeless, and the terrible destruction in the city stand as mute evidence of the violence Communist North Vietnam and the Viet Cong brought to the people of South Vietnam on their most sacred day.